Well, hello there, my fellow ape. Just wanted to say that I'm a big fan and I love your content, especially your breakdowns of William Lane Craig's arguments. Those are particularly fabulous. Anywho, concerning veganism, I've always said that paying for an animal's flesh or secretions is like paying for a ticket to a bullfight in Spain, in that both are legal, both have long-standing traditions associated with them, and in both cases an animal is being exploited and tortured and killed for something that is not needed at all. Now, you rightly claim that the need to survive is a presupposition and that idea that we deserve to live over countless mice and moles that are killed to grow crops is not a given. And I agree. So how do I square this with the idea that eating meat, dairy is equivalent to paying for a ticket to a bullfight and that both should be considered morally impermissible? Well, I square it by saying that the criticism that the need to survive is a presupposition is not a knock against veganism specifically, but rather a knock against humans existing in the first place. So if everyone went vegan, we'd have to kill countless moles and mice, and if we went carnivore or omnivore, we'd still have to kill countless moles and mice to grow crops to feed the animals that we eat, because the human population couldn't survive on grazing animals alone. There's not enough land for that, or meat. If you read nuclear winter scenarios, it imagines that humanity ends because we're unable to grow crops. Growing crops is the common denominator and is not unique to veganism. In this way, veganism and carnism are alike in that they are both ethical choices to consider after deciding whether our lives are worth those of mice or moles. In fact, any choice humans make after deciding to kill to live is in the same boat. We may as well not have a moral obligation to refrain from murdering other humans. So the success of veganism as an ethical theory is not tied to whether it's moral or not to kill animals to keep on existing, because A, again, it's not unique to veganism, and B, there are extra moral considerations about eating meat and other animal products that have to do with deliberate harm. So I am a threshold deontologist. Now, as you know, deontologists claim that the goodness of the outcome isn't the only relevant moral factor to consider. That's what consequentialists think. But deontologists think there's at least something else. They say that we should also consider certain constraints on behavior as relevant moral factors as well. Now, most deontologists think that the other most relevant moral factor is a constraint against harm, but I would like to propose that the real other relevant moral factor to consider is harm with intent to harm as a means or as an end. So if harm is an end, then you're a sadist. That's pretty self-explanatory. But if harm is a means to an end, that's like killing grandma to get the insurance money. But if I build a highway that I know is going to lead to traffic deaths, those traffic deaths are unintended consequences, not a means to an end or an end in themselves. Thus, I haven't done something immoral in the same way. I'm not going to be charged with murder for building a highway, even though I know that it's going to lead to deaths. Now, the threshold comes in when highway deaths become so egregious that we as a society can't take them anymore. And yeah, if 100 million people died in car accidents on the highway every year, I might say, it's time for society to stop using highways, even though the deaths aren't deliberate murder. But it seems that we have a tolerance for traffic deaths in the same way that we have a tolerance for crop deaths, which is in part due to there not being a violation of the constraint for intending harm as a means or an end. So on the flip side, I propose that deliberately killing an animal for food or entertainment, like a bullfight or a dogfight, it's like killing grandma to get the insurance money, which is to say it's a means to an end. And crop deaths, which include human deaths as well, are like building a highway, in that any harm that transpires is an unintended consequence. Thus, like bull or dog fights, we should have a moral obligation to not eat animal products, even cow's milk, if we can, because it causes deliberate and egregious harm as a means to an end. I'd love to know what you think of this argument, and again, thanks for all your wonderful content.